Welcome to my Reroll Battlecast guide. In this video, I will cover all the things you need to know about this comp. We go over the build, what items you make, how to play pre-level 5, how to play when you are level 5, how to play the late game, how to position your units, and lastly, how the different galaxies change your game plan. This is a slow roll comp, meaning that you roll down to 50 gold every single turn to hit your 3 stars. For this comp, we will be slow rolling at level 5 with this board, and we are trying to 3-star Kog'Maw, Illaoi, Graves, and Nocturne in that order, meaning that if your bench is full, sell Nocturnes for space, then Graves. But take this info with a grain of salt, as sometimes you will be closer to some 3 stars than others. If you have 7 Nocturnes and 4 Graves, you should always sell Graves for bench space and accept that you might not hit him this game. We also don't go for Malphite 3-star, as he will get replaced by Gnar later in the game. After you hit your 3 stars, you want to go to level 8 or 9, depending on how strong you are, and look to end up with this build at level 8 and adding in Mystics at level 9. We will talk more about when you roll down, when you stop rolling to push levels, and what you do if you can't find Urgot to get the 6 Battlecast on later in the video. Battlecast units wants to deal as many ticks of damage as possible to the enemy team. Therefore, you want to build items that deal a lot of damage to different units. Kog'Maw is your main carry in this comp, and you focus items for him first. He has 2 core items. The first one is red buff. This is an essential item for this comp to do well. I would even say you cannot play this comp without it. The second core item is static shiv. This item is fantastic as it damages multiple people and allows us to get more battlecast procs. After you've made red buff and static shiv, you need to make some frontline items, and we'll get to that later. But if you get to make 3 items for Kog, the third one can be either another static shiv, Runon's Hurricane, Giant Slayer, or a defensive item like GA or Trapclaw. Illaoi and Graves are the main 2 frontliners in this build. We itemize Illaoi over Graves as she uses the Battlecast trait. The best 2 items for Illaoi are Bramble Vest and Ionic Spark. Both of these do damage to nearby enemies and allows Illaoi to proc Battlecast more often. The third item for Illaoi can be any tank item, but the better ones are ZZ Rot, Shroud, Trapclaw, and if you have static on Kog, then Frozen Heart. Some great support items you want to put on anyone besides Kog is Redemption and Zephyr. Redemption is amazing as it heals all the units up so they can start dealing damage with the Battlecast trait instead of healing themselves. This comp's main source of damage is through the Battlecast trait, so build this item or take it off a carousel whenever you can. Zephyr is good in any comp in the game, so you can build this item on a unit you can move around a lot like Cassiopeia or Nocturne. Another thing I want to note is that if you have made red buff on Kog, do not make a Morello. It overrides the burn from Kog, making the red buff useless. If you get a spatula, the best thing you can make is a Battlecast spat. This allows you to hit 6 Battlecasts at level 7 as you don't need Urgot. The Battlecast spat can go on either Gnar or Graves. If you can't make Battlecast spat, it will most likely end up dead, as the next good thing you can make is probably Protector Cassiopeia, but that requires you to already have Urgot. Or Celestial Spat, but that requires you to be level 9 with Lulu. So to sum up, make 2 items for Kog, then 2 items for Illaoi. After that, make whatever you can with the rest of your components, whether it be a 3rd item for Kog or just more tank and support items. The carousel priority for this comp is Chain Vest, Bow, Belt, then Tier. After that, you want to pick up the 5 units mentioned earlier, but do not tunnel too hard on this build, as you don't want to pass up other great pairs or synergies. At stage 2-1, you should have at least 2 out of the 4 components needed to build red buff and shiv. If you have 0 red buff components, it's still a bit risky to play this comp, as red buff is a crucial item to save HP during the early and mid game. The best level 3 board you can play is this, but other boards also work if they are stronger. At level 4, add in Malphite, and at level 5, add in Nocturne. You also want to eco in the early game as much as possible, as we want to get to 50 gold as fast as possible. Therefore, never level in the early game. You will hit level 5 naturally at stage 3-2. This is where you begin slow rolling. Generally, you always want to have 10 gold by stage 2-3 and at least 30 gold by the Krugs round. The earlier you make eco, the better it is, as you will be loose streaking throughout the early game and most of the mid game. You can sometimes win streak if you find red buff Kog'Maw with 2 Battlecast and some 2-star units early, but if you don't have that, play for a loss streak instead. When you hit level 5, you start slow rolling, meaning you roll down to around 50 to 52 gold every turn. You will do this till around stage 4-2 or later depending on how close or how many 3 stars you have. During the mid game, after you have rolled to 50, your only job is to scout in position. After wolves on 4-1, you need to scout to see how many people are rolling down and see how strong people are. This will give you information about whether you can wait until 4-3 or 4-5 to roll down, or if you have to do it on 4-2. You want to roll down until you hit at least Cog 3 plus 2 more 3 stars. If you are missing Nocturne or Graves after that, it's fine, just hold on to the units and maybe you can 3-star them on your level 8 roll down. Also pick up units like Cassiopeia and Victor, as you need those to get 4 Battlecasts at level 6 and 8 Battlecasts at level 9. After you roll down to hit your 3 stars, it's time to go to level 8 or 9 depending on how strong you are. You will start off by leveling to 6 so you can get 4 Battlecasts in. After that, save up to 50 gold. You will never win and you will rarely top 4 without the 6 Battlecast, so don't roll at 7 unless you're 1 life. You want to greed as much as possible before you roll at level 8 as you have to hit Urgot. So wait as long as possible until you roll, but if you're 2 life or lower, you pretty much have to roll. So if you hit Urgot, that's great, but if you did not, you're gonna have to run something else. So the first option is to run 4 Battlecasts with 4 Brawlers. Here you have a really strong frontline to buy your Kog'Maw as much time as possible to get the Battlecast procs off. You want to run this if Kog'Maw is the only one doing damage on your team. The second option is to run 4 Battlecasts with 2 Infils and 2 Mystics. You want to run this if you have 3-star Nocturne and if there are a lot of magic damage comps in the lobby. Generally, you will need to keep rolling for Urgot if you are stuck on 4 Battlecast, as you really need 6 of them to keep up with the damage of the other comps at this stage in the game. At level 9, you add in either Mystic, Infiltrator, or a Legendary to counter a specific matchup. The best Mystic unit for this comp is Soraka. This is because she heals up your units so they do damage with the Battlecast trait, instead of healing themselves. The best infil to run is either Fizz or Echo. Fizz does more damage, while Echo is a great counter to auto-attack based units. Some other great legendaries to add in are Aesol to counter spellcast comps like Star Guardians, and Janna is great if you need more CC and they don't have Mystics in. So what do you do if you get contested? There are 2 different options. The first option is to not slow roll and fast 8 to get 6 Battlecast in as fast as possible. Here you play as if you're playing any other comp. Your goal is to go level 8 between stage 4-3 and 5-1 depending on how well you managed your econ and whether or not you had to roll in the mid game. The other option is to constantly scout the other player to see how close he is to hitting certain 3 stars, and see which you are likely to hit and which you are not likely to hit. If you're doing this, you will also need to roll it down for 3 stars at 4-1, and it's crucial to roll down before the other player. But know that if you are getting contested with Reroll Battlecast, you will most likely hold hands and go bottom 4 together. So I personally never play Battlecast unless I know I'm uncontested. General positioning with this comp looks like this. Here your Kog'Maw is safe in the backline and protected from Blitzcrank and Infiltrators. Alawi is split off to the left as she is itemized and 3-starred, so she can tank a lot of damage. Graves and Gnar are on the right side. Here Graves is taking most of the initial aggro from the right side, this way Gnar will ult more often. Nocturne wants to jump whoever the enemy carries are, and Urgot wants to be positioned so that he can eat unkillable targets. Moving on to some more in-depth positioning examples. Against the first guy, the big threats are Jinx and GP. We need to position most of our units on the left side while Kog is on the right side. Cassiopeia is the one that gets suffered as she is the least valuable unit. Gnar is positioned so that he CCs the Jinx. Victor gets grabbed by Blitz, and Zed will walk up to our frontline after jumping. Urgot is positioned so that he has a chance of eating the Jinx. Against the second guy, the big threats are Vayne and Irelia. Victor, Cassiopeia, and Nocturne get suffered as those units have a low impact in this matchup. Gnar is positioned so that he might throw Vayne into the middle. Kog'Maw is back and protected so that the Ash Arrow doesn't hit him. Urgot is positioned so that he has a chance of eating the Vayne. Against the third guy, the big threats are Shaco and Jhin. Kog is on the right side to dodge the Shaco. Nocturne is positioned so that he jumps the Seraph. Graves is positioned so that he doesn't get targeted by Jhin and has a chance to ult multiple times. Gnar is positioned so that he has a chance to throw Jhin into the middle. Cassiopeia and Victor our Shaco bait to keep our Kog'Maw safe. Against the fourth guy, the big threats are Teemo, Jhin, and Gnar. Urgot is positioned so that he has a chance to eat the Gnar, Nocturne is positioned so that he can jump the Jhin, our frontline is split up so that the Teemo gets less value from shrooms, and the enemy Gnar doesn't ult our Kog'Maw. Victor is kept safe here, as his laser will deal damage to the entire enemy backline. Lastly, we will go over how the different galaxies change your game plan. Trade Sector. Battlecast gets an extra roll in this galaxy every turn, so therefore it's easier to hit 3 stars here. Just know if you're playing on this galaxy, more people are looking to also play a reroll comp like Battlecast, so make sure to scout to not get contested. Super Dense. This is probably the best galaxy for Battlecasts. Here you get to slow roll with this board, so you have 4 Battlecasts during the mid game. This makes you a lot stronger and saves you a lot of health. Treasure Trove. You get to 50 gold a lot faster on this galaxy, so it's a bit stronger here, as you get to slow roll sooner. Get 3 items for Cog and Ilaoi on this galaxy. Galactic Armory. This doesn't change much. If everyone gets dropped red buff or static ship components, a lot more people are looking to play Battlecast, so scouting is more important here. Dwarf Planet. This comp is weaker on this galaxy as it doesn't have any units with big AoE spells, so this comp is weaker here. Plunder Planet. This comp is terrible on this galaxy, as most of the time you're loose streaking in the early game. Therefore, you will not be getting gold, and everyone else gets ahead. In general, don't play reroll comps on this galaxy at all. Salvage World. This galaxy doesn't change much. Since you find your units in the early game, you are not running any transition units. Play this galaxy as if it's a normal game once you have your comp online. Manatee's Delight. This comp is stronger on this galaxy as you start with a spatula. You can make Battlecast bad and slow roll with 4 Battlecast, and you're not dependent on finding Urgot to hit 6 Battlecast. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. It is filled with hundreds of other players who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.